Now, if you are somebody like me who likes to hop between EVM chains and chase yield, then bridging will be an activity that you'll be doing frequently. And finding the right bridge for you is very important. But of course, because this is an open market, there's so much competition and there are so many good bridges out there. Now, Sorry to interrupt you there, folks. I just want to quickly chime in and mention that we are currently working on a project called Numerical. It's DeFi as a service, meaning you'll get exposed to real DeFi protocols that generate real revenue, aka real yield, and you're gonna get a cut of this without doing the setup yourself. All you have to do is enter, claim, or withdraw. Very simple. So your capital is available at all times to take, and you can choose the option where to invest. More details in the description and in our community chat. Now I'm gonna discount Wormhole and Layer 0 because they are potentially the basis of all of this. But on top of it, and you can add Socket to the mix as well, but there are also decent bridges that were built on top, because remember, those are mostly aggregators or basically infrastructures that developers leverage to build something on top. Like for example, Stargate on top of Layer 0, Jumper on top of Li-Fi. So DeBridge here is potentially, based on my experience at least, the quickest in terms of block finality on the EVM side. So I've used this between Base, Arbitrum, Optimism, even Ethereum sometimes, and it was super nice. I use it also on Linea, so I swapped to Linea. It was, like I said, almost instant. Now, there's a cool part as well. They're running a points campaign, aka something you're probably familiar with, because I started talking on this channel on potential airdrops of legit protocols, usually DeFi driven. And you know, if you want to chase yield overall, you have to hop between chains. But remember, it needs to make sense. You cannot just go on a daily basis from chain A to chain B and, you know, lose money, because it costs money to go from chain A to chain B, and the yield that you acquire at the end of the bargain doesn't offset or make a profit from the cost that you're paying. So you need to make a nice assessment here. But at the end of the day, you'll be using bridges 100%. So like I said, they are indeed running a point system, which evidently will lead into an airdrop of their native asset, which again, it's a bit bleak because you cannot find much details when it comes to what will be the usage of these assets. Of course, governance, but that's a buzzword for now at least. So potentially, and maybe, that token will be staked and earn a portion of the protocol fees. And that's also another rule of thumb, you know, when there's a project that launches a product that people use, and then there's revenue from that usage, and then eventually people who own the native asset will own a portion of it. But again, we don't know. Now, there's a good thing and there's a bad thing about this airdrop, and we're gonna get into it. So one thing to note here is that I'm gonna open quickly the interface of DeBridge so you see what I'm talking about. Like I said, they are across almost all EVM chains and Solana. So this is what they support right now. And when you choose a chain, it will give you a list of all the tokens that you can leverage to make a swap, or in this case, to bridge. Now, yeah, so you go on, you choose, and you see all the options available for yourself. Now, one thing to note as well is that once you actually choose these assets, you have to account for 3 types of fees. You have basic gas cost, of course, when you have to submit a transaction. On top of this, you have bridge fees, and bridge fees for DeBridge are fixed. So they're not dependent on the size of the amount that you're bridging, but instead there's a fixed amount that will be taken depending on the chain. If you go to the documentation, you can clearly see how much per chain per transaction. All right, so if you do the math based on the asset prices right now, so it's somewhere between $3 to $4 per transaction. So again, if you're doing $10,000 or if you're doing $100, at the end of the day, it's the same, all right, in terms of bridge costs. But what will differ is what you receive, because at the end of the day, bridging 100 USDT doesn't mean that you'll get 100 USDT. You're gonna get potentially about 99.92 or around that. So you'll be losing around 8 cents. All right. So again, those are 3 fees that you should account for, because the reflection of the asset at the end of the day won't be 100% the same. But of course, you know this, you've used bridges potentially. If not, then that's something that you should, take into account. So you choose the assets, you click the amount, you confirm trade, and it's almost instant after you confirm the transaction. It's super quick and it's already in your wallet. All right. So there's no, lag time in between when you make that transfer. Now, when you do this, you're gonna get some points. So let me show you something. Let's say you are about to transfer 100 Matic from Polygon and you want to switch that to ETH on Optimism. So I'm just using whatever I have right now. 100 Matic will basically, arrive at that manner. In dollar value, as you can see, it's a bit less because there's a price impact, of course. I'm not only sending Matic to Matic, I'm also switching, I'm exchanging assets. So that will happen there's a middle ground where this happens using an aggregator like SushiSwap, for example. Okay, so that will give me 38 points, almost 39 points. However, if I do 50 Matic the once and then I do another 50 Matic, at the end of the day, I'm gonna almost get double the points. So airdrop farmers will enjoy this. They wouldn't mind paying the extra bridge cost, because at the end of the day, that's, like I said, it's a fixed amount. Now you're making 2 transactions instead of 1, so you're paying that amount twice. But you'll also be earning that amount, or that point amount, twice as well. So at the end of the day, will the cost of those points outweigh the cost that you're paying for making those 2 transactions? And that's something you have to decide. If you want to farm, then you'll be making many of these. But if you just want to use a bridge when you need to use a bridge, and that's something that I do, to be honest, I don't abuse these farmers roadmaps. I don't go about and just swap endlessly between 2 assets for the sake of farming points. Whenever I need to, I do that. And that's my philosophy when it comes to airdrop. So overall, if I need it, I use it. And if I get an airdrop on top, then that's amazing. That's fantastic. All right. So if you want to farm, you can split whatever you want to send into 5 transactions even, and then you're going to pay that cost 5 times. So eventually you'll end up paying almost 30% of the amount you're sending, but you'll get those juicy points, which would hopefully be redeemable for more than what you paid for making those transactions. And again, that's something that everyone is hoping to get at. All right. Now, one thing I want to say is that they're super active on Twitter as well. So you can follow the account just to see what's happening and when potentially there's going to be a token generation event. Now, like I said, the point system has launched theoretically recently. So that was on the 9th of April. That's about 17 days ago. So it's not too bad. All right. So it's still in its early stages. Usually these last for a month. And I'll end this by saying that they did receive a funding round of 5.5 mil, but I don't think there's gonna be more than that, because that happened back in 2021 based on CryptoRank. So I'm not sure how accurate this data is, but it seems that they've been building for years now. So I'm not sure if they'll have additional funding, remains to be seen, but it's still a decent amount in terms of funding for a crypto project that aims to, again, so it's not as big as layer 0, of course, we're talking hundreds of millions or a wormhole, but it's still decent. So remember, don't bet the house, don't just pay and swap and do all these swaps and end up paying more than you need to for bridging assets from A to B, if you even need to do so. Maybe you're just gonna be airdrop farming, but at the end of the day, why not use a bridge that allows you to earn a potential airdrop and just do that when you need it. We do have a Telegram chat. Be sure to join us if you are somebody who's a crypto lover, DeFi lover, healthy discussions, good atmosphere. And with that, see you in the next one. Have a good one.